Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Play Hard and Love Big Radio. Play Hard and Love Big Radio is the official podcast of Spotted Dog Yoga and Sup Shop based out of Folsom, California. Check us out at spotteddogyoga.com. On Play Hard and Love Big Radio, we are dedicated to bringing you the inspirational people and inspirational stories that will help you connect to your center and your purpose and live a more purposeful and passionate life. My name is Nick Clark. I'm your co-host today with my amazing wife, Katie Clark. What's up, Katie?
Nothing much.
Hey, we've got an awesome, quick topic here today. It's all about inquiry. Inquiry is an important way to create self-discovery and to discover new possibilities in your life. It's a part of the Baptiste yoga methodology that we use at Spotted Dog Yoga, and it's something that's been really amazing in the development of our lives. And I think that what would be really great if we talk a little bit about how inquiry has made an impact in our life. So, Katie, how has inquiry made a difference in your life?
Well, I think it's just the idea of asking questions and not needing an answer necessarily, but being willing to ask questions of yourself and look at yourself kind of from an outsider's view and look at your life from an outsider's view and that perspective anyway, and make shifts based on what you see in terms of what's needed to bring more balance. Or, I always look at it as we all have kind of like a true north, like what's matters the most to us, what's important to us. We have different values, we have beliefs. So honing in on that, like your true north. And then when you look at that and see what areas of your life are in alignment with that, with those beliefs and values that you have, and what areas of your life are not, then you can look at those things and make shifts that make a difference to create balance and to create happiness and passion and joy in life. And yeah, I'd say that's just in a nutshell, that's what inquiry has done for me.
What I'm curious about that I think will be valuable for the listeners is how to do inquiry. Is it something that you would go on to Google and search inquiry questions for self-discovery, or how would it be that somebody, one of our listeners, could do some inquiry for themselves?
Well, I don't think there's any specific question that has to be asked necessarily. Part of it is just like maybe journaling what's coming up for you. If you don't want to like have set questions and go through it that way, you can just have a practice of journaling what's going on in your life, what's coming up for you, what you're working on. And then when you get all of that stuff out on paper, reading it and noticing the kinds of things that you've written down, the kinds of words that you're using about your life, because even just that can give you insight into the trajectory that you're going in. So if you read what you wrote and there's a lot of negativity or language that's like self-deprecating, like you're not very positive about yourself, you can change. If you wrote that down, then likely that's the kind of thoughts that you're telling yourself on a day-to-day basis. So just starting right there, you can start to shift the things that you're saying to yourself, because now you see on paper that that's how you're talking to yourself, or what you think about something. And then I'd say there's some books by Baron Baptiste that have really great inquiry questions in them. The 40 Days to Personal Revolution. After each section for each week, there are excavation questions. And then also the book Being of Power by Baron Baptiste has activities and questions within each section. So if you're looking for specific questions, you can look to those books. Those are really good resources. We also do a lot of inquiry in our training programs. That's another way to delve into that aspect of the practice, is to do a training program of some sort, and have that provided for you, and then answer those questions, do those assignments, and see what comes up.
A couple things that you said that I want to just reiterate and focus on because they've made a huge difference for me. One thing is the value of actually writing down what thoughts you're having and moving it from your head onto a piece of paper makes such a huge difference, because when you put your words, your thoughts into words on a piece of paper, in a sense, it makes it real. And it gives you, like Katie said, an opportunity to really look at what words you're using and whether or not they are empowering you. And that's the second thing I want to speak to, is the power of your words. Your words create your world. So what you're saying or not saying, what you're saying out loud or what you're saying to yourself, is creating your reality. And without any understanding of what those words are, it becomes really challenging to make a shift into a new direction or to a new possibility. In fact, most people don't take the time to do inquiry, don't take the time to write down what their thoughts are and to look at them. And so what happens ultimately is they get stuck in a rut. They get stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again for the remainder of their lives. And they wonder why they're stuck, or they wonder why things haven't changed for them. But a lot of times it's because they haven't really taken a look at what's going on. What do you think about that, Katie?
I think that's true. And it just all comes back to your awareness. So inquiry can provide a level of awareness that a lot of people don't have in terms of what you're speaking to, which is that your words, spoken or unspoken, have an impact. And even if there are just words that go on in your head, and I don't know what the percentage, maybe you do, but what is it? Let's just say majority of your thoughts are the same day to day. And so if you're having thoughts and you're speaking words to yourself in your head that are negative day after day after day, then that's going to affect you. That's going to have an impact on your life. And so it's really just having the awareness of those thoughts and the words that you're speaking out loud or saying to yourself. And once you have that awareness, then you can notice it and you can shift it. There's a way to recreate the way that you speak, but you have to be aware of it first. And that only comes from taking a look at it, asking those questions, like, why am I having those thoughts? Why am I having that reaction? And like I said at the beginning, I think Barron maybe said it in a training, like inquiry is like the practice of having no answer. Asking questions and doing inquiry isn't to find the answer, having this right answer that's going to fix everything for you. Having the ability to ask questions without an answer and just pondering it gives you the freedom to have it just come up naturally. Like, what's going on with me? Why is that happening for me? And then act accordingly based on what you discover.
Yeah, agreed. And another thing with like the whole idea of pondering, like thinking about putting intentional thinking into inquiry, it's also important to say, especially if you're someone like me who can easily get lost in thoughts, it's also important to be able to do the inquiry, ask the question, like you're saying, Katie, without a attachment to a specific answer or way, but ask the question, be in the inquiry, but then also let it go and just be present to life and allow the answers to come to you. Because what can typically happen, and what happens for me, is if I start to ponder a question, then I go down a rabbit hole in my mind and I continue to go down the rabbit hole. And the next thing you know, I've spent an hour just in a rabbit hole without finding a rabbit, and completely stuck, not actually present in what's happening. And so that's again why I think it's been valuable for me to learn how to write down questions, because I feel like I can get it down on paper, I can get it out of my head, and then I can get present again. And when you're aware of it and it's in the background in some way, shape, or form, but you're living life, then you start to see answers and different ways in which you can do things, and naturally you can actually implement the inquiry by making shifts from moment to moment.
Yeah. And when it's written down, you can also like revisit it. You can let it go for now. But I think sometimes there's that thing about like writing something down, it lives somewhere else except your head. So then it's not like this all consuming thought that you can't let go of because it's somewhere, it's living somewhere on paper. And then if it's something that you want to revisit or need to think about at a different time, it's there for you to go back to without your mind having to hold on to it. It's like a
Hmm.
letting go permanently or temporarily. And then you can always come back.
The places that people can look for inquiry are relationships that they have with other people, right? That's a good place to look. Like, how are you interacting with other people? Are you feeling really connected to someone, or are you not feeling so connected to someone? And why are you not feeling so connected to someone? Is there a reason? Is there some way of being that you are being that is disconnecting you from someone or something? That's a good place to look. And then also, anytime you're doing any kind of physical activity, if you're running, if you're biking, if you're just on a walk, if you're doing yoga, if you're meditating, anything that you're doing actively, pay attention to the times when you wander off into your thoughts. And in those moments, notice what it is that you are thinking about. And those are the kind of thoughts that are taking you away from being present. And when you're not present, you're not seeing the possibilities and the opportunities that are right around you. And there's all the possibilities that you'd ever wanted, all the possibilities that you've ever needed. They're right in front of you. They're here right now, but a lot of us can't see them because we're not awake, we're not present. The reason we're not is because we have things that are clouding our mind that are keeping us from actually having an opportunity to see new ways, to see new possibilities. So when you're doing anything physical, that's a really great way to do inquiry. I also would say, just like in everyday normal interactions, if you find that you're not listening to someone, like say you're having a conversation, the other person's speaking to you, and you're thinking about what to say next, or you're judging what that is that they're saying, then you're not really listening. And those things that are keeping you from really listening are also a really good, great place to look for inquiry. Can you think of
Yeah.
any other places where it's good to look for inquiry in this everyday life that people could just implement it right away?
Well, I think those are all really good. One thing I wanted to say in regards to the relationships one is you said it this way, but I just want to point to it. You said, like, looking at, like, why don't I feel connected to this person? What am I doing that makes me not connected to this person? It's important to look at, like, where you are doing what or not doing what, not pointing fingers. So the inquiry is for you. So what you don't want to do is like blame, like like look at the relationship and then point a finger at the other person. Well, I feel like this because this person does this and this. Well, that's not going to get you anywhere. We talked about it last time, but you can change yourself, but you can't change other people. So if you're using inquiry as a tool to improve your relationships, you have to look at you and look at what you need to do to create more connection in that relationship. So that's just one thing that I wanted to say. Compared to you, and maybe a lot of people, I don't know, but I am definitely a more naturally reactive person. So where I look for inquiry is like when I have a reaction, like, why did I have that reaction? Is it because I was, having a different expectation, or uh I'm, just not taking care of myself. So I'm tired or not feeling as vibrant as I should. And so, in those moments of not taking care of myself as well as I could, then I'm depleted. Then I'm not in a space to take a step back and take a breath and respond. Those are kind of the areas that I look, the kind of reactions that I'm having over things, like, where is that coming from? And again, like, not related to like, oh, well, it's because that person did that or said that. No, where is my reaction coming from? And what can I do to make a shift?
Yeah, that's really awesome. I think what we've talked a lot about here today is stuff that all of our listeners can bring in at any moment of their life and your day-to-day actions, to look at where you can make shifts based off of, like you're saying, Katie, how you react to a certain situation and whatnot. And another thing to consider and think about too for people is to start to look even deeper than just your day-to-day moments, like to start looking at life situations or things that have happened to you or for you over the period of your life that are patterns. Maybe relationships have you've had great relationships for a long time, but then they end, and you have a consistent pattern of long relationships that end. Or maybe you haven't found that job that like really gives you a whole lot of purpose and a whole lot of energy. There could be a root cause to the way that situations and things and experiences are showing up for you. And so it's also good, on top of looking at the day-to-day moments and reactions and responses in those moments, it's also really good to look at the patterns that have emerged in your life over a long period of time, and to start to see where it is that you've created patterns that are actually continuously giving you the same or similar results from one experience to the next. One thing that happened to me at a pretty young age is that when my uncle passed away, and he was in a drinking and driving accident, and he was really one of those people that was super close to me, and I was really close to him, and it was my first experience of death. And as a first experience of death, it was incredibly traumatic because I lost somebody that I loved. It was like the first time I realized, like, in one moment, one person that you love so much and one couldn't be there, and the next moment that person can be gone and like pulled away from you. And I remember at that point in my life, I was irritated at everyone. I was irritated at God. I was just irritated at life. I was angry. It just was a really challenging point in my life. But what I did is that I started to create a protective barrier around myself as far as actually like letting other people in, because I knew that if I let other people in to the point where I loved them like I loved him, that it would be possible at some point in my life for some kind of a traumatic event to happen, and for that person to be taken away from me. So I put up walls that were not allowing me to actually love and to give myself fully to people. And I also, not only did I create walls, but I created habits that prevented me from actually allowing myself to be loved and to be loved and to love. And that's something that I just saw in probably the last 4 or 5 years of my life, that have, through inquiry, that has helped me in our relationship, Katie, and my relationship with our boys. And it's allowed me to love fully and have faith and to not be afraid. But that's just an example of how I used an experience of my life to protect myself, and how it was actually harming myself long term. And if I hadn't have done inquiry and I hadn't gone into yoga and I hadn't met you, then I wouldn't have been able to really see this. I think I would have continued in the same pattern, and it was detrimental to my health and to other people's health and well-being as well. Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining Katie and I on Play Hard and Love Big Radio. It has been a pleasure. Play Hard and Love Big Radio is the official podcast of Spotted Dog Yoga and Sup Shop, based out of Folsom, California. Check us out at spotteddogyoga.com. At Play Hard and Love Big Radio, we're dedicated to bringing you the inspirational stories and the inspirational people to help you connect to your true purpose and live a purposeful and passionate life. The only way that we grow this channel is by you helping us share it. Share it with people in your lives that you think would benefit. I know they could benefit from this episode and all the other amazing episodes that we put out there. If you like it in the video format, you can watch it on video on Spotify, or you can check out our YouTube channel, which I highly recommend. Go to youtube.com, check out Spotted Dog Yoga, click subscribe, and then push the alert button so you know when we put up new video episodes for Play Hard and Love Big Radio. Katie, thank you so much for an awesome episode. So good to have you on the show with me and talking about inquiry.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Peace.